so I just finished this exclusive cutie for the Ami Club following the instructions in the PDF pattern, and isn't he adorable? But I want to show you another way to do some finishing techniques that I think will be really helpful for you. So this guy, I made him, and the eyes and the snout and the ears were sewn on before I finished doing the crocheting and stuffing. But a lot of people want to experiment with trying to attach the pieces after they've finished stuffing. And since his arms are crocheted in, it's actually a really great toy to do this with. So I've completed a second one where I've crocheted in the arms, but then I just finished the rest of the crochet instructions and finished him off. He is a little smaller. I don't know, stuff happens. One is, a lot of people don't know, a gauge difference can happen if you're just like, you know, one day you're watching a really exciting movie and you're going really, really fast, and the next day you're more relaxed. So most of the time I say gauge doesn't matter. If you have a kit, then you do want to go ahead and do the measurements so that you can get a gauge and not run out of yarn. But otherwise, you know, they're just as cute, both of them. And the other difference that you can get size differences is just the amount of stuffing. So if you just poke in more stuffing in one than the other, and this guy does feel a little denser, then your guy kind of grows a little bit too. So here's our little guy, and you'll notice, so he has the arms, but he doesn't have anything else. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple different things about attaching pieces after you've finished crocheting. I've crocheted his ears, here they are, and I've also made his snout. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out how to position things so that you can see them. I'll work like this. There we go. Now you can't put in the plastic eyes that we have on our regular guy because these require a washer to press on the back. And so you can't do that after you've already done the attaching, the closing up of the piece. So one thing you can do, there's two options you have. One thing is to sew on a crocheted eye that's just a black circle. So to do this black circle, you would just chain 2 and single crochet 6 in the second chain from hook, and then fasten it off, and you get this cutie little circle. And the other thing you can do is crochet a circle basically of white, basically following the same instructions that I gave you for the snout, and that's going to be a buggy eye. So on this eye you could fasten a craft eye to the center, and then he'd have a really big buggy eye. So that's a technique I use on like my Thomas the Turtle pattern. It's super cute. Bradley the Sea Turtle. Some guys look really great with buggy eyes. So let's go ahead and I'll just show you how I attach the eye. When I'm attaching a very small little eye like this, I like to use the running stitch instead of using the whip stitch. So usually I use the whip stitch to attach, which is like whoop, whip, whip. But for this guy I like to use a running stitch, which is down, up, kind of like those sewing cards you had when you were a kid. And that's because it helps the piece to lie flatter, and I think that gives it a really nice look. So it's going to be hard for me to position it. Usually I do the snout first, so I might end up taking this out later on. But I had the eyes kind of low. So you'll see here this tail is really annoying. No problemo. I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to insert it far away and then come up in the middle where I want my eye to be. And then I'm going to grab the tail and pull it through my work here. Pull, 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 pull. Keep pulling. There we go. Now it's just stuck in the middle. You want to worm the hook out to just leave it in the middle. And then I have my eye on. I think that's where I wanted to go. It's so hard to tell. Let's pretend he had a snout. Oh, that's pretty good. It's pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to do the stitching, and let's see that. I'm looking at my other bear. See, the positioning is really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's 5 stitches away from the ear. I've marked an ear too. 4, 5. Yep, that's where I wanted to go. Okay. So I'm going to do the running stitch. Now this is a little harder to do when you've already stuffed the piece, because there's a tendency to grab some of the stuffing. But if you're just careful, so you're going to go in. So I've inserted my hook needle in, and then I want to come out the fabric. There we go, and come out through the piece. Pull, 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 pull. Down into the fabric. And then you're not going to go too far, because again, you don't want to catch a lot of stuffing. So you're just going to rotate and pop it up through. And you know, you can pop it up through and then catch the other piece of the fabric too. Oops, my needle came off. That's okay, just rethread it. I like the ones with the really big eyes. This one has quite a large eye. It makes threading it easier. Poke in, catch, and come up. And then again, I just came up, so I want to make sure I'm going through my fabric. Here we are. Oh, check out that eye. That is a really nice little eye. Another thing you could do is use a piece of black felt and some sewing thread. I wouldn't recommend that, as I think this is more secure if you're giving it to a child, because the thread that you're using is the yarn, and that's the same thickness. So I think there's a lot less tension. Like if you pull on this, it's pretty secure because you're using the same material to stitch it on. Sewing can, I mean, anything can come off if you pull hard enough. Sewing, because the thread is so thin compared to the fabric, there's just a bit more of a chance to come off if you really have a biter happening. So, all right, now I want to tie my knot. Now tying the knot, I think, is the hardest bit about putting your piece on after you finish stuffing, because you want to hide the knot. And when you've put the piece on and you still have a wrong side accessible, you can just hide the knot on the back and be as sloppy as you please. But we don't have that option. So here's what I do. I stick my needle through to the wrong side of the piece I'm attaching, but above the main body of the crochet work, and pull it through. And then I want to catch a tiny little bit of the body that I'm crocheting onto. There we go, that's easier to see. And if you can get it a tiny bit under the piece, that's awesome, but not necessary. I pull it through and I leave a loop, okay? I go through this loop once, tug, 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 and then I go through it again. So I've written that step by step out on the blog, and I can put a link here. That particular knot is the knot I always use. Here, the only thing that's different is that I'm doing it on the outside of the work. So I lost, I'm holding it at a funny angle for the camera, so I keep losing off my needle. So once I've done that, I want to stick it back through, and then you're going to use this to pull the knot kind of more towards the center so that it's not sticking out. So the knot's always going to be on the edge and, you know, a little bit visible, but then once you stick the needle in, you can pull it away. And now that I've pulled the yarn out the other side, I just tug, don't cut your fabric, but then I snip, and the end just will go away. Okay, and see, this is so nice and flat. Look at that. Oh, I just love it. It's a really good look for your stuffed animals. And you can also add a French knot before you attach it with like a little bit of white to give the eye some sunshine. Ah, I mean, he's a little one-eyed right now because he doesn't have the other eye, but he's so cute. Okay, now I want to show you one more thing here, because that's talking about the snout. So you could do what I did on Mr. Bear the first time, which is use the running stitch just like I did on the eye to attach the circle and to embroider the snout. Another option is to use some of the craft noses for the snout. And so here I have a couple different craft noses, and this you can do whether you're doing the piece before or after, but I just wanted to show them to you. So this is a tiny little craft nose. This is the kind of this is a 15mm triangle. I also have some ovals in brown and pink, or a heart. This one is super cute and little, and you could still fit in the embroidery, maybe with black, right there. That's about the same size as the one that we've crocheted. The other look, and that's what I'm going to end up using on this piece, is to use a larger craft nose. So this is a 21mm triangle. Put it in, and it almost takes up so much of the snout that like the mouth isn't necessary. So I'm not going to go through attaching it right now because it'll take me a little bit, but that's how it would look. And let's give him another eye. Poor thing looks so sad. See, can you see him now? They're all so cute, so cute. And I can go without using the embroidery because he has enough character going on with the larger button nose. It's also, I mean, there's so many options. It's also pretty cute with just like the tiny little craft nose and his piece. Oh, he's cute too. Oh, I haven't decided. Okay. And you can also do the embroidery with embroidery floss or something like that. And all of those things I like to do before attaching the piece to the snout. Sorry, attaching the snout to the body, because then you can press on your washer right there and do all of your stuff, all of your ugly knots, hide them right here in this cavity, and then you'll attach it onto the body and you'll never notice. So there we go. You would go ahead and attach it the exact same way, hiding the knot exactly like I did for the eye. So I'm not going to go through that step right now and show you. I'll also show you the ears just super quick. The ears I've done the same way, and I've attached some stitch markers here to show me where I'm going to attach the ears, and that can be really helpful. It can also be helpful to take another stitch marker and hold the ear in place as you're doing the attaching. One trick that I like to do for these flattened pieces is, see, the knot is here. You're gonna fold the piece to flatten it to attach to the body, but what I like to do is fold it so that the knot's already on the edge. That's just going to give you really easy stitching going up the side of the ear. And so you'll put it on to the body and tie the knot the same way that I showed you earlier with this cute little eye. So those are some tricks for attaching pieces after you finish crocheting. One real advantage to this, the biggest one is that a lot of people find the placement easier once the stuffing has happened. When you're stuffing this guy at this stage with a hole in his head, you're sort of looking at a deflated balloon and you're guessing where the pieces would look best on your piece. And it's not too bad because in my patterns I give you the rows that I'm attaching these to, so you're not completely guessing. But you don't have the same feel because you can't tell how the head's going to be inflated. When you do it this way, you have exactly how the piece is going to look, and you're picking where the pieces go on that will look best. The disadvantage is really the hiding of the knot, I think, and also that you can't use the craft eye unless you're doing that googly, pokey out cartoony craft eye that I told you about. So those are some really fun options. I'm going to finish this guy and I'll post a picture, and I hope you use some of these techniques not just on this guy but on lots of your stuffed animals, and let me know how it goes.